From now on, it may also be known for stock cars, as the locals take on the world in American-style super speedway racing.
It's a dream come true, really.
For the first time ever, the ASA is bringing super speedway action to Africa.
And I said, I want to be there, I want to go, I want to be a part of it.
Exclusive coverage of the inaugural Vrystaat 500 is next. Welcome to Welkom in South Africa. Phakhisa Freeway, the site of the first ever Vrystaat 500. Scott, it's going to be an amazing day of action.
It is really going to be something, but when you're a short track racer and you're from the Midwest in the U.S., you're always thinking about, I'm going to go down south this winter and do a little racing. Well, these guys are a whole lot farther down south this time.
More than halfway around the world here to Phakhisa Freeway and Welkom in Vrystaat in South Africa. And the pole sitter today, a former Daytona 500 winner, standing by with our Todd Lewis down on pit road.
Jeff, we're finally here. You've been one of the most vocal in your excitement about this event on the pole position. Let's just get it started.
That's right. That's why we're all here. And to, I've said it before, to be involved in the first race here in South Africa is amazing for all of us, from the crew people, sponsors, team owners, drivers, and the race fans. So it's going to be a great day.
Now, you've also been doing some work on your car. You want to make sure that you're ready. You'd like to have that pole and a victory to go along with it.
Well, of course. That's why we're here. And you're never through working on race cars. It doesn't matter. Right up till they say start your engines, you're still thinking and working on them. So, but we have the car, we think, ready to go, and hopefully it will be, and stay together. It's a long race here. This is going to be difficult, but hopefully it's ready.
Thanks, Jeff.
Jeff Bodine talking about driving the race car, but he almost sounds like a crew chief and all the things they have to be concerned with during the race.
It's going to be a challenger. Very hot here. Here's a look at this racetrack. Phakhisa Freeway, a mile and a half, just like Vegas. How about that road course?
When they make the transition over top of the road course, going on the back stretch, they're going to find some bumps there, so that's going to be a problem for the drivers during the day.
Got a handful of South African natives in the field today. The fastest of them all is standing by with Todd Lewis.
Jaco Correa is the highest qualifying South African driver. Ready for a long, hot one this afternoon?
Yeah, I'm all charged up and ready to go. So looking forward to the race.
Now, how do you prepare for a long race such as this, something that's new to you, a long stock car race where you're only turning left?
Well, I've been training, I've been getting fit for this race because it's a long time in a race car and I'm not used to it. So I think I'll get used to it.
Confident you can be in the top 10 at the end of the day?
Well, yeah, I qualified in top 10. I know the race is a different story, but I'm going to try that.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, Scott, what about these race cars we'll see here today?
Well, we're going to see as a nationwide or an ARCA car, they're going to be going around these racetracks. There's not going to be quite as fast because they have a little bit different engine program than what you're used to seeing. They're using a 2-barrel carburetor, 3,400 pounds though, so it is going to be a challenge and taking care of those tires.
And the 2-barrel, of course, limits the power these cars can make.
And it is a cost-effective way of keeping the engine together. And hey, we're looking forward to a great race.
Absolutely. Very hot day here. The fans are prepared for it. First time they'll ever see something like this. American-style super speedway stock car racing.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Donald Gibbs is the U.S. ambassador to South Africa, giving the command to put the field in motion here at Phakhisa Freeway. American-style super speedway racing for the first time ever, Scott Sutherland. Can't believe what we're going to see here today.
You and I have seen new racetracks come, and we've seen them go, but this is a totally new thing. When you're in a different country, they've never seen this type of racing.
It's been quite a challenge. We're going to see an amazing day here in the inaugural ASA Transcontinental event, the Vrystaat 500. Field starting to roll. Coming off pit road, 24 cars strong. We'll go 500 kilometers, a little over 200 laps here this afternoon. Great veteran Jeff Bodine from Chemung, New York, will start on the pole in car number 8. That's one of Rick McRae's entries. Young Mark Davis, a rising star in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, in his own number 96, will line up alongside. Chris Wimmer from Wisconsin, his brother Scott, a great NASCAR veteran. Chris has run a lot of NASCAR events too. And John Mickle from Great Britain, from the UK, will line up in 4th spot. 5th is Russ Blakely in the F22, another American driver. And Tony McRae from the West Coast, our first female driver in the lineup. Great Midwest veteran Steve Carlson and Tiffany Daniels make up row number 4 as Bodine and Davis clean those tires. There's Jaco Correa, the first South African in the field, and Mark Ebert from the USA in car number 97. Back to row 6, Johan Cronje, a South African native, and Australia's Sean Richardson in the 98 car. There's West Coast USA standout Gary Lewis, Danny Correa, Jaco's brother, Mark Schaefer and Greg Barnhart in the 8th row. West Coast standout Lance Fenton back in the 18th starting spot. Keep an eye on Rick McRae. He'll line up back in 23rd. Battled through some health issues. There's a West Coast guy who's won a lot of races over the years.
There's a lot of experience short track racing from the U.S., so we're going to see how these South Africans can stay with them all day long.
Now, before we go green, down to Todd Lewis.
Fellas, number of drivers have made changes to their cars and fix-ups in the name of Greg Barnhart, who had transmission problems. He will fall to the back along with several others. Mark Ebert, Sean Richardson, Lance Fenton all had trouble, and those and a couple others will fall to the back of the field as we get ready for green.
Safety car dives for pit road. About to get going, the inaugural ASA Transcontinental Free State 500. Glad to have you with us, and we're underway in Welkom in South Africa. Mark Davis jumping to the early lead from the outside pole, and this young man's got a lot to race for. Shortly before the cars and the drivers came across from the USA, his dad Harry passed away tragically. Harry Davis, a big influence on Mark Davis's career, a young driver of whom much is expected. Let's go on board. Russ Blakely in the F-22 takes us down off the backstretch into turn 3.
Not a lot of banking at this racetrack. It's a little bit flatter, so these guys really have to work on handling, but I think tires will be a concern. As you get a little bit of wear, cars are going to be a little bit looser, maybe even a little freer when you pick up the gas late. But then remember that transition where they go down the backstretch might be a problem.
Off of turn 2, Mark Davis is your early race leader, and here's a look at that transition, Scott. Now, this racetrack built about 10 years ago to mimic Las Vegas Motor Speedway as it was then, not as it is now. Not nearly as much banking as the current configuration of Vegas has.
And they have to carry the car down into the corner. They have to really let it roll, and they'll pick the gas up early. This doesn't have a lot of banking, therefore it's not a lot to catch the car as well.
Don Ulier from Arizona, his Monte Carlo, the 88 car, heading for pit road early. Looks like he might have a problem. Qualified back outside the first 10 rows. Davis is your leader. Bodine trying to track him down, battling for position a little deeper in the field here, as Davis is all by himself out on the backstretch.
Davis with a good race car early in the run. We'll see how that goes. You think Bodine is just kind of laying back, just getting used to this racetrack, kind of pick up the pace. When you're that age, you don't want to go too fast, okay?
Can't lay back too long either. About 5 car lengths is the lead, as here comes Jeff Bodine now in that 8 car, starting to work on Mark Davis. Got to look at that battle for 4th. Chris Wimmer sits 3rd in that red 52 car. Got a good 3-car battle for 4th. Great crowd on hand here. No one knew what to expect exactly this inaugural race at the Phakhisa Freeway, but a crowd of about 12,000 folks has turned out here with no experience watching speedway racing.
They will be race fans by the time they go home this evening, and they'll be back again.
Jeff Bodine in the 8 car started on the pole. Fast qualifier here this weekend, a speed of 149.938 miles an hour. That car's starting to work on the bottom. He's going to give Mark Davis a battle for the lead out of turn 4.
That is Jeff Bodine. Probably started with lower air pressures. Let the car come to him just a little bit. Now he's comfortable in the race car. Just let the car roll into that corner, pick the gas up early. That is experience, and there's no way to get around that.
Jeff Bodine able to keep that 8 car down on the bottom of the racetrack. He'll go inside Mark Davis here on lap 6. Good side-by-side fight for the lead on the backside of this 1.5-mile trioval. Davis on the high side trying to hold off Bodine. Bodine able to move by. Chris Wimmer rides 3rd in that 52 car.
And you can see Wimmer's car planted down on the pavement, really sealed off at the bottom. And we haven't talked about the advantage, but these guys from the Midwest, the U.S., have been doing this forever. They've got to have an advantage in technology.
And to give some of these short track guys maybe a little more comfort as Bodine holds onto the lead by a couple of car lengths, this Hoosier tire, Hoosier creating tires just for this event, it's a bias ply tire.
A very good bias ply tire. And remember, it's in the mid-90s here, so that can be a problem later on down the road.
All right, fans, enjoying the show here in Welkom in South Africa. Welcome back to Phakhisa Freeway in Welkom in South Africa. Young Mark Davis running up front here today. Lost his dad, Harry, who was a big influence in his career. Harry passing away tragically just a few days ago. Mark Davis will carry on his dad's dream. Mark Davis Motorsports, they'll have a car this year in the Nationwide Series. This young guy, only 19, one of the leading African-American young talents in our sport. He's headed to the Cup Series, I think. And he's right up front here today in the inaugural Free State 500. Field coming through the trioval, heading down toward turn 1. Mark Davis still the leader, but Jeff Bodine has fallen back to 4th spot. Chris Wimmer is 2nd now. Some of the slower traffic there, the 80 going by. That's the car of Mark Schaefer from the USA. Leaders are up on the backstretch, and Chris Wimmer looking pretty good in that 52 car.
And Steve Carlson is up there as well. So that's where the experience is kind of going to the front. But what about Mark Davis? I mean, he doesn't have this type of experience. He's a short track driver.
Well, he's moved up. He ran some Truck Series races, ran the Nationwide Series a few times last year. He's got good equipment, and for 19, kid 19 years of age, he's raced for 12 years.
And at 19 years old, you don't have a lot of fear either.
No.
That's a big issue. I think these other guys kind of setting a pace, especially Bodine, setting his pace that he knows he can run all day long. It's a warm day.
Running order, top of your screen. 24 cars and drivers took the green in the inaugural Free State 500 here at Phakhisa Freeway in South Africa. We're thrilled to have you with us. I'm Rick Benjamin. Scott Sutherland is alongside Todd Lewis with our coverage down on pit road. Blakely there in the F-22 and his teammate Steve Carlson in the F-66. They've given way now. Bodine is back up to third.
Bodine just kind of doing what he wants to do, feeling his race car out, getting used to the competition. I don't think he's been in a race car a lot here in the last few years.
An early pit stop for ARCA veteran Lance Fenton.
Guys, it's a green flag stop for Lance Fenton. They've been having engine problems all weekend, and it doesn't sound 100% healthy. The crew's also checking that left front tire. Doesn't appear to be down, although Lance thought he felt a vibration.
Fenton from Tyler, Texas. That is a Dodge Charger. Unique pit stop rules, although they make no adjustments to this race car. Only one air gun. You can only change 2 tires at a time, 1 can of fuel at a time as Fenton comes back onto the speedway. The battle raging out there for second spot. Jeff Bodine in the 8 car. Looks like he's gotten back by Chris Wimmer.
Drops back, lets his tires cool down, and makes another run. Kind of like a marathon guy, and he's going to do it in spurts. So we'll see. Is he going to run out later on, though?
207 laps the distance on this mile-and-a-half racetrack. 500 kilometers under the metric system that we use here in South Africa. And Scott, we're starting to see as Fenton heads back to pit road, some really interesting lines being taken here. I've forgotten what the old Las Vegas Motor Speedway layout looked like, but there are places here where you want to be way up in the middle of the racetrack.
And they're going to move around the racetrack. They're going to use the bottom, the middle, and then eventually they'll move up to the top, depending on the heat in the tire at that particular part of the run. But I think you're going to see different guys using different parts of the racetrack.
Good battle for third spot back there. Steve Carlson, Chris Wimmer going at it. Wimmer in that red 52 car, that's a Chevrolet, takes the position back. Some lap traffic in there as well. Carlson tucks into fourth. Blakely, his teammate, is fifth as the leaders move around that lap car. Davis with a 3-car length lead. Bodine starting to gather himself here again.
And he had a great run off that corner and just going to blow him away down the backstretch.
Battling for the lead down into 3. Now Davis and Bodine started together on the front row, and they have fought it out so far here in the first couple of dozen laps at Phakhisa Freeway.
That 8 car, that is a real good horse. You kind of give up speed for long distance handling, and I wonder how we get towards the end of a tire run. Will he lose a little bit of that handling because of the speed of the race car?
Well, since you can only change 2 tires at a time here, we watch the battle for fifth. Tony McRae, Rick's daughter, West Coast late model veteran, and Gary Lewis, another West Coast veteran with a lot of old Winston West Series experience. They're battling for position here too. And these bias-ply tires, wonder how many laps you can put on a set of these.
These guys will be the first to tell you how long, and the field is tightening up. Uh-oh.
Russ Blakely to pit road in his Ford Fusion, the F-22 car. Some radio chatter. He may have a problem. Meantime, here comes Wimmer back on the inside, challenging Davis for second spot. Blakely from the ASA Midwest Tour, they go around with the jack, taking a look underneath that Ford to figure out what it needs at this point. Remember, only 2 tires at a time with 1 air gun and only 1 can of fuel, but we're pretty early in the going here.
And that was almost like they were looking for a vibration with his car as well. And I'm wondering if they're picking up bits of rubber going down the racetrack. It doesn't take much to make a wheel start to vibrate.
Mark Davis now falling back a little bit in his machine. Wimmer and Carlson getting by. There's Bodine. He's trying to hold off Tony McRae for position. Wimmer taking the lead for the first time today.
We've got to wonder if it's like our NASCAR series over here. Once you get out in front in clean air, does that help the handling of your race car? Or in some situations, maybe it's worse.
Mark Davis now racing out of North Carolina, originally from the Washington, D.C. area. Tucking into third behind Wimmer and Carlson. There's Jeff Bodine trying to hold off Tony McRae in that black number 90. Down in turn 3, the great veteran Steve Carlson now pressuring Chris Wimmer. These guys have raced each other a bunch over the years.
And Steve carried that car way down in the corner, and he's going for the lead.
Carlson in the F-66 on the outside. Wimmer in the red 52, and caution. First time today on lap 22. Yellow waving here at Phakhisa Freeway. Apparently some debris on the racetrack, so we get our first caution flag of the afternoon here in the Free State 500. Looks like Carlson's teammate Russ Blakely is done. That'll bring out the safety car as we're under caution here at Phakhisa Freeway. It took a lot to get these teams over for this event. Todd Lewis checked it out for us earlier.
Once the deal was struck between ASA officials and South African officials to stage the Free State 500, then the real work began, coordinating all of the plans to get officials, teams, drivers, cars from the United States to South Africa. The cars and race equipment were packed in cargo containers and shipped in mid-January to arrive in the port of Durban, South Africa, and from there on to the Phakisa Raceway. A small problem occurred when the ship carrying the container with the cars for John Mickle and Gary Lewis was involved in a minor collision and, like many travelers, missed its connection. Fortunately, those cars and all of the other containers were at the track and opened by the teams Thursday afternoon and ready for action on Friday. Another minor hiccup occurred when the truck bringing all of the Hoosier tires was also delayed in arriving, and the teams didn't make it onto the track until Friday afternoon. Staging an event like this, you're bound to encounter a few minor glitches along the way. But other than a late start time on Friday, due to the hard work of officials in both countries, this one's run very smoothly.
Quite an undertaking to stage this first ever Free State 500. All right, cars are on pit road under caution. Here comes Chris Wimmer, who's led laps today. Todd's down on pit road for us.
Wimmer, your leader, making the first stop during this caution period, and the crew going to work on the right-hand side of the car. One jack, one gun. That's all that they're allowed. They're trying to even the competition out, fellas. You see a little bit of steam coming out from the hood of Scott Wimmer. He battled an overheating problem in qualifying. They'll want to get him moving and get some air into that radiator.
Yeah, it does look like it's overheating. You can see the overflow spewing some steam there, Scott.
It is a very warm day, so they will have to get the car. I think once he gets rolling, he'll be fine. But while they're sitting there, no air going through that radiator, it makes a huge difference.
Tony McRae, Jeff Bodine down and away. 2 tires at a shot, 1 can of fuel, your choice. Mark Davis will be the restart leader in South Africa. Back in Welkom, Phakhisa Freeway, the site of the first ever ASA Transcontinental Free State 500. Back downstairs to Todd.
Already a handful, guys, for the 52 of Chris Wimmer. We mentioned the overheating problem. They changed tires before, but the left front shock mount is broken, so that's why that car has been a bit of a handful for Chris already.
Well, he's been running awfully good for a broken shock mount. I don't know if they can get it fixed. Maybe it's just, I know they were making some adjustments under there. I don't know what you can do. If it breaks a shock mount, that's going to be a tough day.
Now, Wimmer's led laps here today. He could have been a winner of this race, but it looks like his day might be fairly short. Working lap number 29 of 207 in the Free State 500. And Gary Lewis from the west coast of the USA is going to be your restart leader. Here they come, back to the green. Lewis down into turn 1, but he's got some company down there. Here comes Mark Davis on the outside for the lead.
He is trucking on the outside, trying to get the momentum built back up. Going to go back to the front, got new tires, maybe a little adjustment, and away you go. But remember this. We are in South Africa, but right now these racers, they're just on another racetrack, and that's what they're doing. They are racing.
They are 3 and 4 wide on the backstretch. Meantime, here's Lewis in that white 7-3. Wants to go back at Davis for the top spot. Gary Lewis takes over again.
It is rough on the bottom of that racetrack. He drove right through the bumps and right by him, and caution is out.
Only 1 lap of green, yellow flag waving again. Our first wreck of the day. Jaco Correa in the 11 car gets into the wall. That's a tough hit. He's really crumpled up the right front corner of the Liqui-Moly Chevrolet. So Correa from Northwest State here in South Africa. Looks like his day is going to be done a little early. Got a replay for you. Take another look at what happened to Correa because we're on board here.
Down into the corner, car gets a little bit loose. That's the danger zone. It gets free in the back end. He goes around, whack into the wall. Welcome to a super speedway.
Yeah, really. The South Africans participating have never been on a super speedway. They've run short tracks, maybe or road courses, a whole different world for these drivers. Before the start, we asked Todd Lewis to talk to some of the South Africans participating. Here's his look at how these drivers came to get a shot at the inaugural Free State 500.
South Africa has a long association with spectacular sporting events. The current motion picture Invictus tells the story of Nelson Mandela working with the South African rugby team to make an unlikely run to the championship game in the 1995 World Cup. The 2010 World Cup of Soccer, another very popular sport in the country, arrives later this summer for a month-long stay. Currently, however, the focus is on the Free State 500 here at Phakisa Raceway, and the advance ticket sales have been terrific. Interest is continuing to build, and some of the most enthusiastic about this event are the South African drivers that will be participating in the on-track action.
It's a privilege, it's a dream come true. and I love it. I love the guys here. The American guys are awesome. They help us so much with the car. The technology that they have is incredible. We learn so much from them, and we love that they come back to us. And the track are awesome. It is very high speed. We're not used to that, but I'm an adrenaline junkie, so I love the speed.
We've been waiting 9 years for this to happen, and finally it's at our back door. We've raced here on the flat track for many years now, and it was always a dream of mine to take part of an event like this, a big event, and also doing a big oval race. I've been looking forward to this, and even all the people from South Africa in this area as well, they've been wondering when this is going to happen, and now finally it's here.
I'm very thrilled to have this great opportunity thanks to Phakisa Raceway. You know, I'm a rally driver by nature, but this is a whole new discipline for me, and I'm very excited and I'm honored to be able to participate in this race, and it's a dream come true, really.
American-style stock car racing in the Free State 500, continuing the tradition of spectacular sporting events here in South Africa.
Scott Sutherland, I know the fans here at Phakhisa Freeway have got to be excited. 6 of their countrymen in the field today.
Well, the drivers sure are enthusiastic, but halfway through this race, it's 140 degrees inside that race car. You got an ill-handling car. I don't know how excited you're going to be at that point.
Do you want to stick around for the second half? All right, we'll be right back in Welkom. Back in Welkom in Free State in South Africa with Scott Sutherland. I'm Rick Benjamin. Gary Lewis leads him to green on lap 37 of the inaugural Free State 500. Great day of racing here in South Africa. An amazing scene to see this all come together over the last several months. The ASA staff in the U.S. has been working very, very hard. Top of your screen, our running order. England's John Mickle in second spot. Rick McRae and his daughter Tony third and fourth. Sean Richardson from Australia is fifth. Korea from South Africa up to sixth as they battle down the backstretch.
As they make pit stops, they're kind of funneling their ways to the front, but everybody's getting an opportunity to be competitive, and that's the main thing.
Gary Lewis from Bothell in Washington. He's an ASA Northwest Tour standout in the late model ranks. I remember him from the old Winston West Series, a really good shoe with a lot of experience.
Wimmer back out on the racetrack trying to make something of his race car. You got to wonder if that shock mount issue is going to show up later on.
Battling for position among the first group of cars. John Mickle in the 09 runs in second. The McRae's, Rick and Tony, third and fourth. Now, Rick McRae, when they set out from Los Angeles several days ago, took ill on the flight. They had to bring the plane down in Phoenix. He was dehydrated. Spent a little time with the doctor in the hospital. They rehydrated Rick. He flew overnight to get here in time for the race, and he's running pretty darn well.
Well, with the heat here, he's going to be dehydrated again, so I hope they really pay attention to that. And when you're an older guy, that's a tougher situation.
His daughter, Tony McRae, her first ever experience in a 3,400-pound NASCAR-style stock car. A whole different deal from running a late model. Gary Lewis looks right at home in that 73 car.
I don't see anybody out here on the racetrack that is really super uncomfortable. They're just making laps, kind of biding their time, feeling their race cars out, making adjustments, and looks like they're having a lot of fun.
Rick McRae in the 08, a Winston West Series veteran of many years standing as well. John Mickle in the 09. Here comes the 61 of Tim Olson. He's the president of the ASA Midwest Tour. A rare chance for him to race here this weekend. Doing pretty well in that car. Looks like he may be done for the day. Gary Lewis trying to hold off right now. John Mickle and the McRae's, Rick and Tony. Let's get it back downstairs to the garage area. Todd Lewis.
As you can see, fellas, it was a hard impact for the number 11 machine of Jaco Correa, the highest qualifying South African driver. He is being checked out right now at the infield care center. Already a report back to the team. He's okay. They're just taking every precaution.
He will probably feel this tomorrow morning, where those seat belts go over top of your shoulders. That's where you feel it the most.
No question. That was a hard hit for the highest qualifying South African in the show. We saw Tony McRae get by her dad, Rick, for position, moving into third in that black 90 car. She's doing a terrific job here.
A huge surprise. If you've never been in one of these big, hot, heavy race cars with all this horsepower, that's a big surprise.
And the step up from late models to an ARCA type car, a NASCAR Nationwide Series type car, that's a big jump, isn't it?
It's a huge transition because the feedback on the race car is totally different than in a short track car. And when you're out on these big speedways, it takes so much longer. The communication between the race car and the driver takes a lot longer.
Steve Carlson, the ASA Midwest Tour standout, the F66. Here's Jeff Bodine, the pole sitter, moving inside that 98 car, picking up another spot. Jeff headed back to the front. Sean Richardson from Australia as they fight it out for 5th. Jeff Bodine, no problem at all, moving to the low side. There's Carlson in the F66. I don't think we've heard the last of Steve Carlson today either.
Bodine, Carlson, experience. They're just kind of biding their time, waiting to see how this is all going to play out. But I think they've got a lot underneath them. They just don't know when they're going to play it.
Sean Richardson there in the 98 from Queensland in Australia. Now remember, there is a track like this over there, the Thunderdome. Not sure if they race on it anymore. Don't know if Richardson's had much experience over there, but he's doing a very nice job running solidly in the top group of cars here today. Carlson moving up. That 900 Johan Spies, one of the South Africans in the field. He's shown a good look in that car so far today.
The side-by-side racing we've seen has been fantastic. I'm just very impressed by that.
Spies in that 900 car, the Speed Sport Motorsport car out of Cape Town here in South Africa. Richardson in the 98 as they come off of turn 2. Here you get another look at where the road course crosses the backstretch here. You go out and then back across the backstretch if you're on this road course. And as we talked about at the top of the broadcast, there's kind of a rough transition across that when you're running the back straightaway on the oval. There's the F66 of Steve Carlson trying to reel in Richardson for position.
Carlson's car is just kind of the same as everybody else all the way around the racetrack, with the exception of going into turn 3. He can really gain a lot of ground on everybody out there going into turn 3.
Jeff Bodine in the 8 car was the pole sitter, headed back to the front. Gary Lewis continuing to lead in the 73, the ASA Northwest Tour standout. Crews going to work on fuel. Fuel stops will be upcoming. Lewis still your leader in South Africa. Disney World. Welcome back to Phakhisa Freeway, the inaugural ASA Transcontinental event, the Free State 500. Good action for second spot. Jeff Bodine in that blue and white Chevrolet, the 8 car on the bottom. And on the top, John Mickle from the UK. He's raced in some ARCA events, doing a great job here. Meantime, one of the local contenders on pit road with one of the Ford Tauruses. Bodine has gotten by Mickle for second spot. Gary Lewis continuing to lead in that 73 car. Bodine up onto the backstretch. There's Mickle in the RS Cap Chevrolet, the 09. I watched him in some ARCA races a few years ago. Very impressive.
But I think Bodine is just kind of showing the muscle that he has. He uses it when he needs it, backs off a little bit, save his tires, and here we go again, back to the front.
Johan Koetser, one of the local competitors from Welkom here in Free State in South Africa, on pit road, changing a right front tire. And no need to hurry. You're learning this process. First time you've ever done this before. Running order top of your screen with 54 laps complete. Tony McRae runs in 4th. Mark Davis is back up to 5th. Spies is 6th. And Steve Carlson running in 7th. You've got some good cars up front here.
Yeah, we do a very competitive race in the front of the race as well as in the middle of the race. We go back to pit road. Not only are these drivers learning how to race, but how about these pit crews? Yeah. They've never seen anything like this coming down pit road.
First time to jump the wall and try to do this with some quickness. Meantime, Bodine starting to reel in Gary Lewis for the race lead. Good battle here. Bodine has led laps. He's been deep in the field. He's worked his way back to the front. Let's see what he can do here with the race leader. Lewis looks pretty strong.
Lewis's car is very, very good. I was watching Bodine's car. Can he make the cut? A lot of times when you roll up behind the guy to take the air off the nose of the car, and he picks up a little bit of a push. Bodine's car, he can cut wherever he wants and get the car back to clean air. Very good race car.
Bodine in 2nd. Gary Lewis really strong in that 73 car. And we'll see what Bodine. Oh, the caution waving. 3rd time today on lap 55. Another debris caution being called by ASA Transcontinental officials in the control tower here at Phakhisa Freeway. It's been an exciting week for all of us involved with this ASA Transcontinental inaugural event. We sent Todd Lewis out to take a look around Welkom and give you a look at what this place is like.
The city of Welkom is located approximately 160 miles south of Johannesburg in the province of Free State. South Africa is the world's largest producer of gold, and the city of Welkom is located right in the hub of the Free State gold fields. In fact, one of the working mines is located right across the street from the Phakisa Raceway. The city features a technical college, several fine restaurants, and of course a casino where a number of members of our ASA family have been trying their luck. The city of Welkom and Phakisa Raceway also now hold the bragging rights for hosting the first ever American-style stock car race in their country.
Back at Phakhisa Freeway, the inaugural ASA Transcontinental event, the Vrystaat 500. Good to have you with us with Scott Sutherland. I'm Rick Benjamin. Todd Lewis is on pit road, about to get busy down there. Here comes Gary Lewis, the race leader. Jeff Bodine right behind him. John Mickle from Great Britain, the third place runner. The lead lap cars essentially heading down pit road.
They're all going to come in and make adjustments. They're going to get tires, they're going to get fuel, get themselves ready for the latter part of this race. But I think everybody now, they got a real good feel for the race car.
So some of the major contenders deciding this is a good opportunity to come to pit road. One of those may be a surprise, the Australian Sean Richardson from Queensland, driving a Toyota Camry here this weekend. Todd Lewis is standing by in the pit box for the 98 car.
Another opportunity for the teams to take on fuel or tires. Remember, it's one or the other. Mark Davis making a stop for fuel. So is the number 90 car of Tony McRae heading back out on course.
Tony McRae, one of the surprise contenders here. And Scott, take a look at this. Some of the special rules that are involved in the ASA Transcontinental's Vrystaat 500. 500 kilometers, but how about the pit stop rule?
And I love that, fuel or tires. That really plays a strategy. One can of fuel is allowed, only one. So you really got to figure out your gas mileage. Hey, you've almost got to be a computer geek in order to get this one done.
And just like we say in the States with the lucky dog, here it's the lucky cheetah. First car lap down gets back on the lead lap. Well, it took a lot of preparation work to get ready for the ASA Transcontinental Vrystaat 500. Early on, a couple of months ago, noted American drivers, Jeff Bodine on your left, Ron Barfield on your right, came over to help ASA officials kind of lay the groundwork for this event. Part of that trip was a visit to something called Savannah, Africa. It's a wildlife preserve nearby Welkom in Vrystaat, one of the few cheetah breeding grounds in the entire country. A great day. Scott, this is just a beautiful place to visit.
I can't get over the fact that when we go to a racetrack, we might see a cow or a horse. We're looking at a cheetah and a rhinoceros. What a deal.
After the day was done, a bonfire, a great meal outdoors, some native music enjoyed by Bodine, Barfield, and the rest of the ASA contingent that came over to lay the groundwork for the first ASA Transcontinental Vrystaat 500. Before we go green, Mark Davis on pit road, running 11th. He was a front row starter down to Todd.
New left side rubber going on this time for Mark Davis. His teammate Tiffany Daniels also making a pit stop. She is down and away. Tires are changed, now just buckling them back up. Remember, of course, just one air gun along pit road, so we're seeing somewhat slower stops than we're used to.
So Davis, a graduate of the NASCAR Drive for Diversity, as is Tiffany Daniels. John Mickle from the UK is going to be the restart leader in that 09.
And I don't think that's a big surprise. He's been competitive all day long. I just wonder how many changes he's had to make in order to make that car that fast.
Another pit stop for Johan Kronji there on pit road from the Welkom area. Safety car leads him down the backstretch. 207 laps, 500 kilometers the distance here in this inaugural ASA Transcontinental run at Phakhisa Freeway. First time they've ever raced on this oval. They've done a little bit of testing here. The road course gets used a lot, but a brand new event, first time here. The 00. Johan Kutzer from Welkom at the front of the field. He's at the tail end of the lead lap as the safety car heads for pit road. Getting set for another restart at Phakhisa Freeway.
These leaders have to be very careful, be patient, because you can run up on these guys so fast. Oh, we're already seeing a move at the bottom.
Jeff Bodine going for the lead once again in the 8 car. He's back in front in clean air. Bodine looking as strong as one of those Bodine bobsleds the Americans have used in the Winter Olympics up in Vancouver.
Well, we talk so much about patience and all that. Well, to heck with that. I'm going to the front, going to take the lead, let everybody else hash this thing out later on.
They go 3 wide. The McRae's back there. Tony McRae in the 90 doing an outstanding job, but Jeff Bodine back to the point in that 8 car. Look at him build that lead.
Is he in cruise control, or is that car that good? You just kind of wonder. There again, he goes in spurts. The car's really fast for a little bit. He backs up a little bit, let the tires cool back down. So I wonder what he's going to have when we get to the end of the race.
They're 4 wide through the tri-oval heading to turn 1. Richardson and Mark Davis trying to catch the leaders. A little further back, you've got the 20 car. Gugu Zulu, we met him earlier. Rally car driver, his first appearance in a stock car, first appearance on a super speedway. Doing a nice job here.
You can see that outside line really traveling down into the corner. The guys on the inside giving way, which is a great deal. That's learning to be a race car driver. They're learning a bunch here today.
Battling for position, Richardson, Rick McRae back there in the 08. 66 laps on the board, about a third of the way home. John Mickle third, Spies there fourth. Then you've got Richardson fifth, Rick McRae back there in 6th, and Gary Lewis in the 73 car just got around McRae to pick up another spot. Mark Davis has worked his way back into the top 10 up there in 8th.
Lewis's car was so strong earlier in the race, and he may have something. Just took him a little bit longer on pit road, whether they were making an adjustment or whatever. But yeah, I think he's going to work his way back to the front.
And Gugu Zulu in that 20 car, we got to look at him earlier, heard from him before the start of the race. He said, you know, I'm a rally car driver. What a great experience for me to get a chance to do this. Never been in a car like this. I can't imagine anything much different from American speedway racing to rally. They're totally different disciplines.
And he talked about the discipline and how to be an oval track driver. But here's the thing. You've got to be in these hot race cars. You've got to concentrate every lap, every minute. You're going to end up in the fence, and you're going very, very fast around this racetrack.
The veteran Rick McRae from Bloomington, California, battling back from illness. 4-car freight train here down into turn 3. Great battling for position. Spies in the 900, a local driver, an Australian in the 98 car. Here's McRae to the outside. He's gotten around Lewis. McRae gunning for a top 5 spot here.
Different drivers from different parts of the world, literally. And these guys are side by side, 3-wide racing. And we haven't seen near the wrecks we thought we were going to.
Very clean racing so far. Gary Lewis in the 73, McRae in the 08. Now, they've done battle a lot on the West Coast. These guys know each other.
And they're going to trade some paint. They're going to put on that show, but they're having fun doing it.
Down the backstretch, Lewis in the white 73. There's Richardson. Up front, meantime, Tony McRae putting some heat on Jeff Bodine. This is for the race lead. Tony McRae's going to sweep to the high side and take the point.
A short track driver.
And a female.
A late model specialist.
Yeah.
In a big, heavy car, and she is leading the race in South Africa. Get it, girl.
All the talk about Danica Patrick. How about Tony McRae? I love what she's doing here.
This is very impressive because of these long sweeping corners. It's a very hot day, very difficult to drive these race cars. She's doing a fantastic job.
Battling for position further back in the top 5. There's Spies in the 900, Lewis in the 73, Rick McRae in the 08. Jeff Bodine has been in the lead. He's been back in the top 10. He came back to the front. Now he's given up the top spot again. He's 60 years old. I wonder if the weather's starting to affect him.
And I think that
he'll beat me up if he hears me say that.
No. I think what he's doing, he's the marathon runner. He's going to use a little bit of energy. He's going to back off. But I'm very impressed with that 90 car, but she's also a little bit free. The back of that car wiggling just a little bit. You know she's leaning on it. Man, hey, leading this race, that's awesome.
Gary Lewis, meantime, on the move in that white 73. And here comes Mark Davis in the WHUR-FM car, the 96. Best of the locals is Spies in that 900.
I like what Spies is doing. He's just making laps. He's learning how to go around this racetrack. He's running the bottom of the racetrack, learning where his car is the best. He's moved around the racetrack just a little bit, but he's very competitive.
Gary Lewis in that white 73 doing a great job. John Mickle, meantime, in the 09, moving to the high side. He's going to pass Jeff Bodine for second as they go down into turn 1.
Bodine backing up just a little bit. We've seen him that pattern all day long. He'll make a run, he'll back up a little bit, make another run. You wonder how much that is just taking care of the tires and taking care of his race car.
Rick McRae in the 08, Sean Richardson in his car from Australia. Closing in on Mark Davis in the 96 down into turn 3. There's Spies in the 900. Davis is going to swoop by him on the high side. Davis has gotten his speed back as well.
Very impressive to be able to go to that outside, drive that car down into the corner on that outside. You've got to have a lot of confidence in the guy on the inside, though. They are really traveling.
2 and 3 and even 4 wide at times through the tri-oval here at Phakhisa Freeway in Welkom in South Africa. The inaugural ASA Transcontinental event, the Vrystaat 500. Mickle in second, gives up the spot. Gary Lewis to the outside, takes it back.
Lewis's car has been consistent all day long. Now he's making his way back to the front. He is going to be a very good contender at the end of this race. Wow,
Mark Davis, wow. Man, Davis's tires must have really started to come in. He goes to the high side, swoops around Lewis. He's headed back to the front.
I don't know what that was all about. All of a sudden, he just picked up a bunch of corner speed and a whole lot of confidence.
Battling through the tri-oval. We've got some lap traffic starting to factor in. We started with 24 cars. A couple are behind the wall already. Davis there, left side of your screen. Lewis in the 73. Strongly in the top 5 here, coming close to halfway in the inaugural Vrystaat 500. Bodine and Mark Davis, they started together on the front row. Starting to show their muscle as we get to the middle portions of this Vrystaat 500. There's Davis in the 96, Lewis in the 73. trouble on lap 75. The caution wave. Danny Correa, one of the local drivers from Welkom, has gone around, stalled it on the racetrack, part of a two-car spin over there. Take another look at what happened. Mark Ebert from the USA in that white 97 car went around as well. Nobody hit anything, and it doesn't look like they hit each other.
A little bit of side-by-side. You either take the air off or maybe just a little bit of a bump, and you both end up going around.
No serious damage to either race car. Hopefully both drivers will be able to restart. Caution waving. Korea in the 68 trying to get refired. Tony McRae's got the lead. Coming up on halfway here in the Free State 500. We'll be right back. Back with the ASA Transcontinental Free State 500 in Welkom in South Africa with Scott Sutherland. I'm Rick Benjamin. Todd Lewis has the coverage for us today on pit road. One of the drivers using the Union Jack. That's got to be John Mickle's pit stall down there. Leaders headed to pit road, and Todd is standing by with more on Tony McRae.
Here's your race leader making a stop for tires. This time by, fellas, it'll be two right side tires. Tony, as mentioned, had never run on a 1.5 mile racetrack prior to this weekend. The smile on her face said it all, though, right from the Friday practice. She was having a ball, really enjoying herself, and I'm sure really enjoying it up near the front.
Got to be a great experience for her, not only to race in South Africa, race a big race car, race on a super speedway, and lead laps here.
Being competitive, that's what it's all about, and she has been very competitive all day long.
Well, Danica Patrick has certainly drawn tons of attention this season for her move into stock cars, but Tony McRae's making a name for herself. So's young Tiffany Daniels from Virginia.
Well, I don't think there's ever a time you get a phone call to race and you say no, but when you get one that says, hey, we're going to be running this race in South Africa, the first one, you're like, of course I'm in.
Yeah, Tiffany Daniels and Tony McRae, both big fan favorites this week here in South Africa. Johan Spies to pit road, a two-time Super Saloon Car champion over here. Let's get it back down to Todd Lewis before we go back to green.
Fellas, a little more information on our leader. Once again, Jeff Bodine led in practice, led the qualifying back out in front of this field. They did make pit stops earlier in the race because they felt they had a vibration. On the right side, they changed tires. They changed the left sides. Everything seems to have settled down all right now. Remember, they're using bias ply tires, and they react a lot differently than the radial tires. But Jeff's back out front. He's loving the car. He wants to be there at the end.
Radial tires, they come as a size, and you cannot change that size. You can change air pressure all you want, and it's not going to change. Bias ply tires, when you change air pressure, it changes the size, the diameter of it. That is an issue these guys are going to be fighting here today.
85 laps go up on the board. Green flag back out here at Phakhisa Freeway. Welkom, South Africa, the inaugural ASA Transcontinental Series event, the Free State 500. A lot of moves being made. Gary Lewis to the outside, taking third. Bodine, the race leader, all by himself out of turn two. You know, I was thinking something about Jeff Bodine. 60 years of age. He's been doing this a long time. Past Daytona 500 winner. He raced on bias ply tires. He knows how to work with it.
And when he said at the beginning of the race, I'm thinking about my race car and I'm learning what I need to do. This is a new style of racing, though. These type of packages, saw springs, big sway bar shocks. This is different. He's made that transition very, very good.
Sean Richardson in the 98 from Queensland in Australia trying to hang on. Gary Lewis to the bottom in that 73, wants second spot back. He's going to get it as they hit turn one.
Lewis, the guy that was leading earlier in the race, the guy that maybe Bodine really doesn't want to see in his rearview mirror right now because he's coming.
Gary Lewis on the move down the back straightaway. Richardson's got some company back there. Mark Davis moving back to the top five. They go three wide off of turn two. Davis in the third car in this group of three as they come off of turn four. Jeff Bodine in that Chevrolet is all by himself. There's Mark Davis in the 96 car. 87 laps go on the board. Gary Lewis is second. Richardson runs third. Tiffany Daniels met her a moment ago from Smithfield, Virginia. And then Mark Davis, their teammates this weekend. John Mickle from the UK. Spies, one of the local drivers. And the West Coast stars, Rick McRae and his daughter Tony.
When you watch these cars come down this backstretch, they're going to go over these bumps. Bang, bang, bang. And that's what they're feeling from inside the race car. And that's something they've had all day long.
Closing in on halfway. Let's go downstairs to Todd.
Guys, for one of the few times today, we've got the 19 and the 96 nose to tail. Tiff Daniels is immediately ahead of her teammate Mark Davis. Now, she told me they definitely wanted to work together in this race. The problem is they haven't been together much on the track so far in this race. Now, as we're starting to close in on the halfway point, their nose to tail, it's perhaps their chance to head to the front.
Daniels getting passed by her teammate Davis, and here comes John Mickle once again in the RS Cap Chevrolet on the high side. Mickle looks tough here.
Mickle has a very good race car, but I was wondering how long Davis was going to wait around there. We watched him earlier. When he went to the high side and drove it off into the corner, he had a very, very fast race car.
Really impressed with John Mickle from the UK. He's got limited experience in the ARCA series. Coming over here for the very first time. Nobody'd seen this racetrack until all the cars were unloaded earlier in the week.
Not a lot of oval track racing in the UK, so it's a tough transition for him as well.
And into turn one, Mark Davis in the 96. Sean Richardson back there in the 98 car from Australia. Great multinational corps of drivers assembled by the American Speed Association for this first ever Transcontinental Series event, the Free State 500. And how about Gary Lewis? Standout of the ASA Northwest Tour Late Model Series. Getting back in a big, heavy cup-type car for the first time in a long time, doing a great job.
Well, I thought he had one of the stronger horses early in the race, and he's working his way back to the front. And I think if Bodine wants to look up in his mirror, he's going to see a lot of the 73 car.
Mark Davis, though, on the outside, may be the guy to challenge Bodine here in the next segment of this race. Davis wants second. Remember, front row starter alongside Bodine. Whistles by Lewis in 3.
And he's done that move. Every time he gets close to a guy, he goes off into turn 3, and that car is so fast.
All right, let me ask you this, Scott Sutherland. As flat as this racetrack is, relatively speaking, for super speedway, we've seen Lewis kind of stay to the bottom from his short track routes. Davis not afraid. He's got nationwide truck series experience, willing to go to the middle of the racetrack. Is that where you want to be here?
And I think what's happened is as the rubber gets laid, you can see the black in the racetrack. The rubber gets laid down. It's a very hot day. It gets greasy. As you move up the racetrack, there's actually more grip. And I think he's figured out. Davis has figured out I got a little bit better grip if I move up, about a half a car grip.
Sean Richardson's got a top 5 car. There's Spees in the 900. He's doing a very nice job. And here comes Rick McRae in the 08. He and Tony McRae, they've been hanging around. They've led laps. They've run up in the top 5. After pit stops, they're starting to head back to the front. Steve Carlson back there as well.
Where's Carlson been all day long?
I think he's been taking his time.
I thought he was a pre-race favorite, and we really haven't seen much of him. I thought maybe his car just went to heck, but here he comes. Maybe back towards the front again.
Did a race years ago in the old ASA National Tour, and Steve was a regular for a while there. Won a race at Gateway that we did a long time ago. Knows how to run these big tracks. No shortage of experience there.
And he knows how to do the bias ply tires versus the radials. Very comfortable with that. So I'm surprised. I still think the 73 car, I think he's one of the better race cars here today. We'll see what he has at the end of the race.
Yeah, really impressed with what Gary Lewis has put together with that Chevrolet Monte Carlo. He's been stout from the drop of the green. Caution waving here on lap 94. Should be our 5th caution of the afternoon here at Phakhisa Freeway and Welkom in South Africa. Could be another debris caution. Remember, this track had never been raced on before this weekend. And race officials, ASA officials, being really cautious, I think, with what we've got here. Jeff Bodine will be the race leader. Mark Davis, Gary Lewis, Richardson, and John Mickle, your top 5. And we'll be back at Welkom. All right, welcome back to the ASA Transcontinental Free State 500. We're in Welkom in South Africa at Phakhisa Freeway. Leaders head to pit road under caution. Downstairs to Todd Lewis.
Just a routine fuel stop for a thirsty number 8 car for Jeff Bodine. Crew finishes the refueling. They'll clean that windshield as well. A little bit of dust and debris being kicked up by some of the cars, especially when they get right down onto the transition. They spoke about that in the drivers' meeting and wanted the drivers to keep an eye on it. But Jeff Bodine, a solid piece so far today.
Yeah, Bodine from the pole has been probably the dominant car, wouldn't you say, Scott?
I would say the most consistent running up front. He has been, that car's looked very good all day long.
One of the drivers who's very disappointed to be behind the wall, Jaco Correa, standing by with Todd.
Jaco, it's disappointing to see you out of this event so early and after that hard hit.
Yeah, it's very disappointing. I wish I could have finished this race, and that was my goal from the start. But I mean, this is racing. This is what's happening.
What happened from your vantage point on that accident?
I think the temps on my tires were not up to standard. After the caution, I went into turn 3, and there was just no grip in the front.
Glad you're all right.
Thank you.
Jaco Correa behind the wall, disappointed, but gained some good experience here today.
And I love what he said. I came here just to finish this race, and that was the expectations of the day. Unfortunately, he's not going to, but I love their attitude.
105 laps remaining in the inaugural Free State 500. John Mickle in the 09 down into turn 1 with Mark Davis. Davis to the high side. Here comes Rick McRae. The battle's on for second. Onto the back straightaway, Rick McRae and John Mickle door to door. Back there is Tiffany Daniels from Smithfield, Virginia, one of the 2 women in the field. She gets by Mickle for 3rd.
Everybody going to that outside groove, just driving the car down in there. You've got to think there's a little bit more grip halfway up the racetrack right now, and that bottom groove's gotten a little bit slippery.
The great veteran Rick McRae, more than 30 years behind the wheel, to the inside and 1, going for the lead here. Right back at him is Mark Davis, the young gun, 19 years of age, from the D.C. area. And Davis by a car length as they haul it down the backstretch.
Davis's car so strong in that outside groove. There's a lot of grip up there. He's working that steering wheel. That car is very, very fast on that outside.
Russ Blakely back on the racetrack in that F-22 car. Now he's the teammate car to Steve Carlson. Went behind the wall early. They brought the car back out. Jeff Bodine headed back to the front in the 8, but the 2 leaders still side by side.
What a great race for the lead. They're really, really getting after it up here. Well, look, if you're Blakely and you've come all the way over here, you're going to get some laps here today, whatever you got to do.
Mark Davis in the 96 car, racing in memory of his dad, Harry, who passed away tragically just before the drivers and teams came across the ocean, flew 20-plus hours to get here to Welkom in Vrystaat in South Africa. Mark Davis back to the point out of turn 4.
And I like what Davis did there. He stayed up in that upper groove. His car is really, really good up there. And his spotter's telling him, you're fast up there, stay up there. He hasn't even attempted to drop back down to the bottom.
3 widening, time for second. Bodine on the inside, Mickle there in the whiteout. Oh, trouble again. The 97 car goes around the Fizulu plant car. That car's been in trouble here before today. Caution out again on lap 105. Take another look at what happened. Gets up in the gray there. That's not a good place to be.
Ebert was way up where he wasn't supposed to be. Picks up a little bit of that dust. You get that on your hot tires. There's no grip whatsoever. He's chasing it down the straightaway, trying to get it back under him. Finally loses it in the middle of the straightaway.
Mark Ebert from Tucson, one of our ASA drivers from that part of the country in the U.S., making the long trip over here to make the start in this historic event, the first Vrystaat 500 for the ASA Transcontinental Series. Owns the Drive Tech Driving School. Does a lot of instruction over there in the Phoenix area. All right, let's get a break in. We'll come right back with more at Welkom. Welcome back to the Vrystaat 500, Phakhisa Freeway, the ASA Transcontinental Series. With Scott Sutherland, I'm Rick Benjamin, Todd Lewis on pit road. Our coverage around the world, coast to coast in the United States. Glad to have you with us for this most historic American-style stock car event in South Africa. 112 laps go up on the board, less than 100 to go, and we're back underway. And Mark Davis, Jeff Bodine, the front row starters, Gary Lewis in that white 73 car. They have been strong all day. They're headed off into turn number 2 and onto the backstretch.
I think Lewis has got one of the better race cars out here, and he's just kind of just playing around there. Top 3, top 4, top 5. But I think when he wants to make his move, he's got enough horse to be able to go get it.
Mark Ebert took the 97 car to pit road. Might have flat spotted some tires there. We'll see if he can get back out for the last 90 or so laps of this race. Off of turn 4, Davis in the 96. Jeff Bodine in the 8. Here comes the F-22 of Blakely. Now, he is not on the lead lap, but he is up there with a very fast race car.
Things kind of stretching out now. You wonder if they're kind of getting in that comfort zone where we're just going to make laps. This is kind of the part of the race where you just want to make laps and get towards the end before you really make another hard move. And this is where attrition starts working out, and you feel everything in the race car, and the heat starts to get to you.
Battle for the lead starting to heat up again. Speaking of heat, Jeff Bodine, that blue and white 8 car, the fast qualifier, nearly 150 miles an hour here, closing in on young Mark Davis, age 19, trying to hold off a warrior who is 60 years young and a past Daytona 500 champion.
Right behind him. The air is not an issue. Every time he turns down, catches the air on the nose, his car seems to turn pretty well. But that bottom groove got a little bit more rubber laid down. I don't think it has near the grip it did earlier in the race.
Bodine tucking in with the 8 car right behind the 96 of Davis. If you've been wondering what Jeff Bodine's been up to racing-wise the last several years, a lot of folks know about the Bodine bobsled project that he and Bob Cuneo put together years ago. Jeff very involved in that, helping outfit the U.S. bobsled team for the Olympics with some great equipment there. He's been racing lately, tried to make the Daytona 500 field in 2009, made a couple of other qualifying attempts in the Sprint Cup Series, but he's been racing again in the Dash Series, the ISCARS Dash Series, which is an ASA series that runs in the southeastern U.S. just to have fun, stay sharp behind the wheel. Didn't want to miss the opportunity to come race over here.
And that's the key to it. He's doing it because he loves it. He has fun doing it. And you know what? He's pretty darn competitive.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He may win this thing. John Mickle in the 09, though, very much in the hunt. The 68 car right there, the 68 not on the lead lap. Danny Correa has had his problems here today. He's been behind the wall, spun and brought out the yellow earlier. Meantime, for the lead, Bodine zeroing in again on Mark Davis. Goes to the bottom. Boy, he can drive that 8 car high, low, doesn't seem to matter to him.
And I think Davis went ahead and gave that to him. We watched Davis go in on that high side so fast. I think it's time where he's just going to back up, cool your tires back down, and let that car catch up to you. Then you can go again.
Yeah, lap 119 doesn't pay anything.
Absolutely not.
Lap 207 is the lap that'll pay here today in the inaugural Free State 500 at Phakhisa Freeway in Welkom in South Africa, the ASA Transcontinental Series. Making its debut, we're proud to bring this one to you around the world with our coverage here today. Davis right back at Bodine. Coming through that trial. Well, and remember, this is a copy of the original layout of the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, not the reconfigured high bank version we have now. We talk about a trial. Well, it's more like a kind of a circular front straightaway here.
A nice sweeping D. And here comes that 96 car back on the outside. He's done that time and time again. Strong race car.
These two drivers have fought hard for the lead here over the last 10 laps. Here comes Gary Lewis in that 73. I'm not so sure, Scott, you kind of mentioned it. I'm not so sure he doesn't have the best race car in the bunch.
And I think he said, you guys just race all you want. Burn them tires up all you want. I'm just going to sit here and wait.
Rick McRae in the 08 car runs fourth. Blakely in that F22 several laps down. Now, whatever the problem was, and Todd Lewis couldn't get down there to find out before they sent him back on the racetrack, that car is as fast as anything out here at the moment.
Yeah, the 22 car is very fast. Unfortunately, several laps down. Won't be able to make it back up, but you know what? He's still having a great day.
Now, I saw something out of the right rear corner of the 8 car a moment ago there. Looked like maybe some tire smoke, maybe something else. You got a tire rub perhaps over there?
I saw the same thing, and I don't think he had any contact. So you wonder, is it a little bit of an oil leak or maybe just a tire rub? Well, we'll have to wait and see.
Bodine, meantime, cuts to the bottom in that 8 car as they come through the trial. They'll cross the start-finish line. He wants the lead back, heading off into turn number 1.
Car's very fast, but that bottom groove, nowhere near the grip it was earlier, and I think his car's a little bit dancy down there. We'll have to see if he doesn't move up. Maybe Jeff Bodine will move up and use that outside groove.
Well, the thousands of fans who've come here to Phakhisa Freeway for the first ever ASA Transcontinental event, this Free State 500, have certainly got a great taste of what American-style big car, stock car racing is all about.
Well, there's a lot of fans sitting up there, and they're under those umbrellas. They're enjoying the day. I just wonder if there's bratwurst and beer like it would be back home.
I doubt it. I suspect the beverage of choice is something a little bit different here, but you don't know. Anything's possible.
It is South Africa. I don't know either.
Bodine back to the point in the 8 car. Mark Davis second there in the 96. Onto the backstretch one more time. Slower traffic to the bottom. Drivers' meeting was quite entertaining earlier today. You have drivers from several different countries participating. Dennis Huth, the president of ASA, giving some welcoming remarks. Track officials speaking to the drivers, telling everybody to put on a great show for the fans here this week.
Oh, and they have done a fantastic show here. They've got a lot of give and take. Let the guys who run fast, don't hold them up, let them go. And here we go again. We're going to see another pass for the lead. We've been doing this all day long.
Davis in the 96 alongside Bodine. Here comes Gary Lewis. He says, hey, don't count me out, boys. I want to be part of the fun. Lewis in that white 73 on the high side. He's going to take second back as we put 123 laps on the board. Running order top of your screen. Keep track of where your favorite driver is running. Davis out in front, Lewis in second. Now the 08 of McRae not on the lead lap. He's shown 8th. First car 1 lap down. And Davis in clean air. His car likes it out front.
I think the 08 has an opportunity to get back on the lead lap. He can drive by these guys and then get the caution and come around. That's a very fast race car. Don't tell him he's 60 years old or whatever. And here's a guy that got sick on the way here. This is an amazing story.
He and Bodine, members of AARP.
Hey,
they should have that sponsorship.
They're still competitive.
Nothing wrong with it.
Hey, I think
Nothing
it's
wrong
great.
with it. All right, here comes Lewis in the 73 from Washington State, working on the young gun from the Washington, D.C. area. Davis in the 96. McRae says, yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm fast enough to pass and get back on the lead lap here. He's third in this group, Bodine 4th. McRae to the inside. Davis says, that's fine, boys. Fight it out. I'll just sit here. McRae makes it 3 wide going down into 1.
I'm going to the lead lap, and I'm going to get back on the lead lap.
Rick McRae takes that 08 I was looking through his information earlier. He was the Winston West Rookie of the Year 32 years ago.
Amazing story.
Yeah.
And still have the drive, still the want to, and this new style of racing is totally different, and there he is out there making it happen.
He promotes the Orange Show Speedway in San Bernardino, California. His daughter, Tony, who's in this event, won a late model race there back in 2009. That's an ASA member track. Of course, the American Speed Association sanctions racetracks and touring series around the country. And so Rick said, I want to go racing one more time. I'm going to get one of these cars. I'm going to get two of these cars so we can both go run. And they're having a fantastic weekend. Gary Lewis, meantime, back to the point. Rick McRae back on the lead lap. Bodine is second. Davis is third. And again, we just marvel at how good Gary Lewis is.
And I think it was just by design. He just waited and waited and waited. As the pace started to slow down, his car stays the same. And it is very, very fast. McRae, he needs a yellow right now. He needs a caution. He just doesn't want to beat the caution.
Yeah, Rick McRae's gotten himself back on the lead lap in that black 08 car. Gary Lewis, your leader. Jeff Bodine in that 8, the blue and white machine. The pole sitter back to second. Mark Davis very much in the chase in the 96 car, the WHUR entry. He rides third right now. A little further back, you've got Tony McRae in the 90, Rick's daughter, who has been up front today quite a bit. She's lost touch with the lead group right now as the leaders go by lap traffic on the backside.
Yeah, but a caution's going to come out. It's going to shuffle this all together, and it's going to be a whole new player in this deck of cards. The 73 very fast. I really thought once Bodine decided he was going to make his move, he'd be able to go by. His car just isn't as good as it was earlier today.
We haven't seen anybody yet on pit road try to make an adjustment. Now, the crews that are here, you've got a lot of veteran guys who've worked on these race cars, but a lot of the people who came over with these teams don't have big track experience either. So do you know what to do? Do you know what sort of adjustment to make with sway bars or track bars, things like that?
I think you report into your crew chief, and you hope that the experience of your crew chief says, look, we're going to do this or we're going to do that. And all it takes is subtle adjustments at this speed, at this big racetrack.
Battling for second spot, Mark Davis on the outside of the 96, the 8 of Jeff Bodine. Front row starters trailing Gary Lewis in that white 73 right now for the lead. We see a little more tire smoke out of that right rear of Bodine's car.
Well, what I'm amazed at is here we are in the later stage of this race. I know it's hot out there. These tires are greasy and they're slipping and sliding, but they're side-by-side racing and they're having at it.
Now, we talked about this earlier, and I mentioned tire smoke, thought there might be a tire rub, but as you said, Scott, no contact. I'm starting to wonder if the motor in that thing, if we're starting to see a little oil smoke.
And you can see, it could be a valve cover, it could be a power steering line, it could be a lot of things. Just a drip of oil can land on the headers or on the exhaust system and make a huge amount of smoke.
For the lead as they come to the front part of this tri-oval again, Davis in that black and yellow 96 car. Rick McRae right there, he's in danger of going a lap down again to the leader. Gary Lewis putting a lot of pressure back on McRae. Lewis in the 73. Davis in the 96, McRae in the black 08. Here comes Davis to the high side. Lewis goes up to cover the spot. Gary Lewis says, no, I'm not giving this back to you at this stage of the game.
And McRae's hoping they will race side by side for a little bit. He needs just a little bit more of an opportunity. He knows that caution's going to come out. Just come on.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah, it's going.
Now, with these cars, a lot of them have 22-gallon fuel cells. What would a fuel run be in a mile-and-a-half racetrack?
Well, I did the numbers just a little while ago as we watched Bodine when he got fuel at halfway. I'm thinking right around 5.5, 6 miles to a gallon. He's right there at that edge, you know, about 150 laps, and he's got to go 150 miles. He's got to go a little, about 160. We're going to get some cautions. It's going to be close.
Bodine to the inside on Mark Davis. These drivers and teams planning fuel strategy. McRae in the 08 staying on the lead lap, but he's at the tail end right now, being scored in 8th spot. Gary Lewis is still the race leader. Jeff Bodine is second. Mark Davis is third. Everyone connected with the American Speed Association agrees this trip has been a wonderful experience. Great to meet the folks over here in Welkom, in Free State in South Africa. Phakhisa Freeway, a terrific facility. Before the start today, we talked to the premier of Free State about the future of this event.
As President Obama always say, yes, we can. And as South Africans, we say, working together, we can do more. I'm sure we can do more. We can create friendship. And we have started doing so. So let's continue. And we're looking forward to seeing you again next year.
And we're looking forward to being there again in 2011. And this, of course, part of the run-up to the World Cup of Soccer. Oh, down into turn one. Rick McRae up the racetrack. Gary Lewis had to get out of the throttle there on the white 73 car, and now we can see more of that white smoke out of the back end of the 8, Jeff Bodine's machine.
If they can get a caution, Bodine's going to have to come down pit road. He's going to have to address that issue because it's getting progressively worse and worse. And I'm wondering, it's got to be an oil leak of some sort.
Rick McRae in the 08 car just goes one lap down. Again, you can see the white smoke now starting to be more prominent off the rear spoiler of the 8 car. If there's a guy in this field who knows how to nurse an ailing race car home, it would be Jeff Bodine with 40 years of experience driving these cars.
However, if it's an oil leak, it gets on the tires, the car gets slippery, and it's ill handling. I haven't seen him slip and slide around yet, and it's almost like it's in the middle of the car. So it's really tough to detect. Hey, it could be a transmission seal. As simple as that.
Could be. 68 laps to go. Running order top of your screen. Rick McRae shown 7th. Now 1 lap down again. Tiffany Daniels 9th. We're watching her. Johan Spies has done a great job. Local driver from Welkom. He's 10th right now. Danny Correa back on the racetrack after a spin, being scored in 11th. And there's Gugu Zulu in that 20 car, shown 13th, the rally driver. First time he's ever been on asphalt, a big track, a big race car. A top 15 run for him here today as well. Out front, still the 73, Gary Lewis from Washington State, from Bothell, Washington. From Chemung, New York, the great Jeff Bodine in the 8 car, running second. But you can see that white smoke. Here comes Mark Davis, who's been on the front row and been up front a lot today. Started on the front row to pit road, looking for right side tires. Green flag stop. We see a lot of smoke out from under the hood of that 96 car.
This would not be a scheduled pit stop. This would be an issue, and unfortunate because that car's been so fast all day long.
Tough break for Mark Davis, who is racing in memory of his dad, Harry, who got him going in this sport. Mark at age 19 has a dozen years of experience, a young driver with tremendous upside, a graduate of the NASCAR Drive for Diversity program, has run in the Truck Series, made his nationwide debut in 2009, a great veteran of the Camping World East Series as well. Other cars starting to come to pit road right now as we get well into the second half of this one. Up front, Lewis looking to put the 97 a lap down. That driver has been in trouble a couple of times today. There's the 22 car on pit road.
Lewis's car off the corner, turns down off turn 4. He can go just about anywhere he wants to on the racetrack right now. One of the better handling race cars in that 73.
Gary Lewis in the 73 out front, but the caution waves with just more than 60 laps to go here at Phakhisa Freeway in Welkom in South Africa. Back with more of our ASA Transcontinental Free State 500 in a moment. All right, welcome back to the ASA Transcontinental Free State 500. We're in Welkom in South Africa with Scott Sutherland, I'm Rick Benjamin, Todd Lewis on pit road. Oh, Gary Lewis makes a very late decision to cut to pit road.
And you've got to get to pit road. You've either got to get tires or fuel one. Don't miss the end of pit road.
Pit road speed limit in effect as always. Lewis, the first car to peel off. Here comes Bodine. One of the McRae cars, looks like Rick McRae. Let's get an update on the driver who started on the pole in that 8 machine. We've talked about the smoke coming out of the back of that Chevy, Todd Lewis.
Jeff Bodine makes the stop along pit road. That's his son, Matt Bodine, who's on the air gun changing that right rear tire. Car moving around. They'll move to the right front afterwards.
But Scott Sutherland, I think they're going to have to go under the hood of that 8 car as well.
Well, they're doing the right thing. I always like to get my tires changed first, then we'll get the hood up, we'll look underneath. It might be something very simple that we can fix in a hurry, getting back out on the racetrack. Get the tires taken care of first, though.
Well, Gary Lewis, the race leader in the 73, almost got himself in serious trouble, just decides at the last second to come to pit road. Back to Todd.
This is the right front tire off the number 90 of Tony McRae. You can see that tire has been rubbing on, they believe, the brake ducts. They're bringing her back in. They want to pull that brake duct back so they don't have this problem and have the tire blowout.
These cars have carbon fiber brake ducts on it. They're hooked right to the spindle. They can flex during the course of the race, get into that tire. She can't afford to have that right front tire go down, Rick. They got to get her back to pit road.
All right, before the start today, we talked with the ASA's president, Dennis Huth, about this huge new event.
But all I can say, the undertaking was massive. And to do something like this within a matter of 4 months, I mean, my entire crew, and you can put kudos to anybody they want to in the world. But it really comes down to staff and to people and to help. But it has been a lot of various issues, and of course dealing with the various components of the racetrack, which has never been used in 10 years on the oval, and trying to go through the logistics of moving equipment and moving all the various people from all ports. I'm so proud of everybody that's been involved here, and it's been a pleasure to work with the Free State government and also with the entire staff at Phakhisa Freeway, and just, I mean, I can't go on enough with all the components that have to come together. And they're they're still coming together.
How tough is it? He didn't have gray hair 4 months ago. That'll tell you right there.
This project has been in the making for a while, but it just was confirmed late in 2009. We're thrilled to bring you our coverage of the first ever Free State 500, the ASA Transcontinental Series here at Welkom in South Africa. Down into turn one, John Mickle in the 09 is the restart leader. Mark Davis in that 96 car is going to get at least one of his laps back on the high side. He's got his work cut out for him after a long stop.
But he's not going to give up. He went to the outside, drove by him. If he can get a caution, maybe a couple, he can get back on his lead lap.
How about this? Mickle was the leader. Sean Richardson from Australia, who started back in 12th, gets by on the back straightaway, takes the lead. Here comes Lewis now trying to get back into the mix, along with Richardson. Bodine's right there. Now the F-22 of Blakely, not a factor here. He's several laps down.
But he's still got a great race car. He's trying to race hard and make a lot of laps. Bodine maybe the best car at this stage in the race. A little bit better tires. Maybe he can make this run.
Now they worked on the 8 car on pit road, see if they were able to stop whatever was causing that apparent oil leak or oil smoke that we'd seen coming from the back. It certainly hasn't slowed the 8 car down, as he and Lewis are door to door there right behind the race leader.
And this is what we've seen all day long. The 8 car's a little bit faster. He'll take off for about 20, 25 laps. Then that 73 car starts getting going, so we can see who's going to be the best at the end of the race.
Jeff Bodine back to the point to the inside of Sean Richardson. Here comes Lewis in the 73. You've got a New Yorker, an Australian, a Washington Stater in your top 3. And Russ Blakely, who's from Wisconsin.
Yeah,
we won't hold that against them.
Yeah, but they're not down home right now, are they? They're all a long ways.
Lewis on the backstretch in that white Chevrolet to the inside. He's going to get by Richardson and pick up second spot. Gary Lewis continues to impress, and here comes Russ Blakely hoping to get a lap back. Blakely in that F-22, Steve Carlson's teammate. He spent a lot of time behind the wall earlier. He is nowhere near the lead lap, but very competitive with the lead group of cars.
And I think that's what he wants to do. He just wants to get himself in clean air, get out there and make laps, and just kind of roll around this racetrack and have some fun.
Tony McRae, meantime, in the 90 car, starting to rumble once again on the backstretch, closing in on Sean Richardson. Todd Lewis, what about fuel strategy for these teams as we get close to the end?
As we get into the final quarter of this race, guys, it's getting touch and go whether or not teams will be able to make it on fuel. Just spoke with the number 96 Mark Davis team, and they're not sure they can make it the distance. However, the 08 of Rick McRae and the number 8 of Jeff Bodine both feel they can go the distance. That's their thought right now.
Wow, if you don't have to stop again, that could be a huge advantage.
Well, and all you have to do is, if another caution comes out, put your tires, another set of tires on. You only get 2, and you're good to go to the end. But, you know, we know he's going to be close.
Down into turn 3, Richardson in the 98, Tony McRae in the 90. You certainly want to figure your fuel correctly here, but what an outstanding first event at Phakhisa Freeway for the ASA Transcontinental Series. And what a treat to be a part of this for you. And bringing this coverage to you coast to coast and around the world here this afternoon from Free State in South Africa.
Watching Tony McRae, she's been, you know, earlier she was leading the race and she was out in that nice clean air. Now she's having to work to get around traffic. She goes high, she goes low, and her car handles a little bit different, but she's doing a great job. 24 cars took the green here for the Free State 500. And I would think, since this is a brand new event, brand new facility, a lot of these drivers are a long way from home, your first goal is to be there for the last 20 laps. You can't win if you don't finish. So you've got to get to the end and get an opportunity. There's been a lot of great race cars during the course of the race. What you're going to have at the end is the key factor.
Up onto the front straightaway, Richardson in the 98, Tony McRae in the 90, one of the 2 women in the field here today. Tiffany Daniels from Virginia, the other female driver, and both have been very impressive. Coming up on 44 laps to go, running order top of your screen. Sean Richardson, the Aussie, is 3rd. The McRae's 4th and 5th. Mickle, the UK driver, in 6th. And Gary Barnhart from the USA in 7th in front of Mark Davis, who is a couple of laps down, trying to get the lucky cheetah, get back into contention here before we're done today at Phakhisa Free State Speedway.
All you can say is Davis has a great race car, and he would be in the middle of this thing, but they had to come down pit road and change tires on the green, and it cost him a bunch.
Richardson, Tony McRae battling for position. Russ Blakely in that F-22 who's been so fast the last 30 laps. back in 16th, a couple of dozen laps down. Steve Carlson behind the wall in the team car, the F66. He and Chris Wimmer had very fast race cars in the early going. It's a shame their cars just weren't up to the test. Very warm day. It's summertime over here in South Africa. Air temperature about 95 degrees. Tony McRae to the inside of Richardson. This is for position on the backside.
She's been working that groove, and finally got a great run down the backstretch. Makes a move going into turn 3.
Tony McRae could be headed back into contention here over the last 40 or so laps. There's Rick McRae up to 5th from 24th in the grid. Had to drop to the rear for the green flag. Johan Spies, one of the local drivers in that 900. How impressive has he been? He's kept his nose clean all day, done a great job.
And I think he's like a lot of the local guys. If I can just finish today, it's a huge victory, because the next time these cats come back, I'll be ready for them.
Yeah, Spies showing in 9th position. Part of the plan here, there's going to be a driving school. Oh, caution. 40 laps to go today at Phakhisa Freeway. Jeff Bodine in the 8 car may not have wanted to see the yellow at this stage of the game.
Well, I think you're getting down to money time. 40 laps to go. You're going to make a tire change. You're going to make a chassis change. Driver's going to get freshened up. We're going to get ready to go. Now, these short track drivers, they're ready for this.
The ASA Transcontinental Series, the Free State 500 in Welkom in South Africa. We'll be right back with more. Welcome back to South Africa. Words I never thought I'd say during a stock car broadcast. With Scott Sutherland, I'm Rick Benjamin. Todd Lewis on pit road. Done a fantastic job for us today. Jeff Bodine, the restart leader of this first ever ASA Transcontinental event. And under caution here, probably some debris on the racetrack. Lights out on the safety car. It will head to pit road. Now, some of these contenders, like Bodine and like Sean Richardson and like a couple of others, did not elect to come to pit road. We've got, what, 33 laps remaining here today.
Their car's handling well enough. They feel they have enough fuel to get home. There have been enough cautions, and it's on.
Whoa! A couple of cars way up in the gray where a lot of the debris has been blown over the course of this race, kicking up a big cloud of dust. We see that white smoke out of the back of the 8 car again, but Bodine, no trouble at all apparently.
And he got a great restart. Got away from this crowd. He can get out there in clean air, make some laps, and he's got to be thinking about that checkered flag right now.
How big would it be to be the first ever winner of the Free State 500 for a guy like Jeff Bodine, who's won hundreds of races, big and small, all over the country of the USA, including the Daytona 500? I'll bet this would be one of his most prized trophies if he can get it done here today.
Winning races anywhere in the world is awesome, but to be the first guy, that is really cool.
5 wide on the front stretch, heavy traffic, rush hour here at Phakhisa Freeway. Richardson out of shape down into turn 1. Sean Richardson, who'd been leading laps earlier, loses it, goes around in the 98, brings out the yellow with 31 to go. Ah, tough break for the Australian driver who's had such a great day.
Wow, it's almost like a tire went down or he was sliding in oil. That car went around way too fast. Sometimes you get just a little bit too much rear brake, and he just tapped on him and the car went around.
Does it look like the left rear's down or going down on that car? It just stepped out. I was impressed. A guy who's not raced these cars on this kind of racetrack before, he kept that thing from going up the racetrack.
And it was, yeah, he got the car to start spinning, got back in the gas, got the car to come all the way around. I think you're right. I think the left rear tire started to go down.
All right, so Richardson from Australia, from Queensland, brings the 98 onto pit road. Of course, Australia has a great history of racing, but not this kind of racing. Pit crew going to work. They're going to change tires. How about it, Todd Lewis?
Left rear being changed on the number 98 of Sean Richardson. Had that spin going into turn number 1. Now the motor's off. He may have damaged it in that spin, fellas.
Well, if you don't clutch it in time, and if you don't have experience, you don't know how to do that maybe, right?
Well, a lot of times when the car starts to spin, you'll just put it to the floor and let it go, and that's when you can create damage, maybe just a broken valve spring.
All right, at Phakhisa Freeway, under caution, Jeff Bodine will be the restart leader when we come back. Welcome back to Phakhisa Freeway. We're in Welkom in South Africa, the ASA Transcontinental Free State 500. And look at how the fans have turned out here. Thousands and thousands of them around this mile-and-a-half racetrack. Ready for the weather, all covered. They know the sun is a challenge here. Temperature close to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Very warm summer day. Jeff Bodine in that 8 car, that Chevrolet, leads him back to green. Coming up on 25 laps to go.
If they've enjoyed the day so far, they're in for a treat, because when we get down to the last 25 laps, we always know it's going to be a shootout.
Rick McRae in the 08 car in contention. John Mickle from the UK in the 09. That's the white car back there. Bodine trying to head to the house. The top 3 are nose to tail. Oh, a challenge on the inside. Here comes Mark Davis now. He and Tony McRae there. And here comes Gary Lewis. Where's he been for the last many laps?
Well, he made a pit stop, got mired back in traffic. I think the 73 car's got the best race car. Let's see if he can make that run to the front.
Lewis restarting back in 7th spot. Action out of turn 4. Tony McRae trying to get the inside on John Mickle down through the tri-oval here. Mickle in the 09 car, very much a contender. 24 to go. Rick McRae in 2nd. Mickle is 3rd. Tony McRae 4th.
Whoa.
Up the racetrack goes Mickle. Everybody holds him tight. I bet there's a lot of dust and a lot of marbles out there now.
And you've got to be careful. You want to use the outside groove, but don't go just a little bit past that because you get your right side tires and you're in trouble.
3 wide down the backstretch. Lewis in that white 73 to the inside. Gets the drop on Mickle and on Mark Davis.
Mickle was smart enough. Get in the brakes. Get out of there because he did not want to be the 3 guy out there.
Gary Lewis and now Mark Davis in the 96. Now Davis has raced his way back to the lead lap. So this is for position here. This is a battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th.
2 of the guys that we felt could give Bodine a run for his money, the 96 to 73. Lewis, I think, has the better car after about 20 laps.
John Mickle back there in the 09, still very much a factor as the laps wind down, coming up on 20 to go. Davis thinks, hey, if I get another caution, I can still be a player in this thing.
Davis's car so fast in that segment of the racetrack, I think, man, he's got a great shot at this.
Young Mark Davis, age 19. You know the story. His dad, Harry, who was the big driving force in his life and his career, passed away just before this trip began several days ago. Rick McRae, Tony McRae, father-daughter team from the West Coast meantime, running 2nd and 3rd behind race leader Jeff Bodine. Rick McRae has the advantage in the 08. Daughter Tony there in the Lucas Oil 90 car, going to the inside on the backstretch.
Well, that's mixed emotions. You know, you don't like getting past, but if it's your daughter, maybe it's okay, maybe it's not. I don't know. They'll hash this out later.
2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Don't you want your kids to do better than you did in life?
Not when it comes to racing, are you nuts?
Tony McRae moves to 2nd spot now. Mark Davis back there in 4th. Rick McRae kind of the meat in the sandwich in that 08 car. So far, nobody's shown they've got the speed to go challenge Jeff Bodine in that 8, who's got a straightaway lead.
I was very surprised when Bodine did not come down pit road to get an opportunity to put tires on his race car. But he knew what he had out on that racetrack, and he's showing us right now.
Well, if there's a guy in this field who's got experience beyond, say, Rick McRae, who's in his 6th decade, and Steve Carlson is pretty close, it would be Jeff Bodine. But you never know. I mean, you're running a car. I don't think Jeff Bodine had been in that race car before they got here. Nobody had a chance to do much testing, probably practice limited because of tires, that sort of thing. Meantime, this battle raging here. Davis to the inside on Rick McRae for 3rd spot now.
And nobody knows for sure what fuel mileage they're going to get with this new engine design.
A lot of these teams for the first time using a brand new engine package that Schwanke Engine Rebuilders in the U.S. has put together for the ASA Transcontinental Series. A lot of different combinations coming over. A lot of these cars will stay behind and become part of a local ASA sanctioned series, and they'll be used in driving schools and things like that. Next year when we come back, there'll be a whole new crop of race cars coming over. The competition will be a lot tougher next year. Davis gets by Rick McRae, moves to 3rd spot. Laps winding down here. Mark Davis may not be all done today either.
And Davis had to do it the other way. He had to use the bottom groove that time rather than the high groove, which he's been doing all day long.
There is Tony McRae in the Lucas Oil 90 car. Terrific, terrific run for her in 2nd position. The 09 of John Mickle starting to rumble now. He's challenging Rick McRae for the spot. Going for 4th position here. McRae slips up the racetrack in 3 and 4.
Looks like Rick McRae's car's gone away from him just a little bit. Car's trying to slide up the pavement, not the grip that he had earlier in the race, and the heat has a lot to do with it.
Well, John Mickle has raced on high-speed ovals. He's raced in the UK in oval track racing. They have a thing over there called Eurocar. Raced here in the old ASA National Tour in the early part of this decade. I'm sure he's aware with bias ply tires, you know, if the grip starts to go, the front end's going to wash up the track, right?
Well, you can lose either end, either the front or the back, depending on what part of the racetrack you're at. The key is slow down, take care of your tires, and get yourself for another run. I think he has that much experience. He'll do that.
Lap traffic will be a factor here. McRae in front of Mickle in the 09. Rick McRae in that black 08 from California. And here comes Mickle to the inside as they pass the start-finish stripe. He'll dive to the bottom going into 1 and pick up the spot.
Made up a lot of ground in that D-shaped tri-oval, just dropped to the bottom, made it a lot shorter. Good move by Mickle.
Coming up on 15 laps to go today here at Phakhisa Freeway. The Free State 500, the first ever ASA Transcontinental event. What a welcome we've gotten here from the folks in Welkom in South Africa. We'll come back, take you to the checkered flag when we return in just a moment. Inside 10 laps to go at Phakhisa Freeway in Welkom in South Africa, the Free State 500. Tony McRae in that Lucas Oil machine. She's done a great job running second, Scott Sutherland.
This is a remarkable story. A woman, a young woman with a lot of experience out here showing these guys how to do it.
And Mark Davis, who started on the front row in that 96 car, closing in as well. He's gone a lap or two down at times. He's gotten himself back into the hunt here late in the going. These drivers trying to track down the race leader, Jeff Bodine. Gary Lewis in the 73 had to go back to pit road. He got himself another lap down. He's unlapping himself here in turn 3. Bodine still in command in that 8 car.
And you know that his spotters tell him, say, look, leave the 73 go, let him go, because he's not on the lead lap. You are still the leader of this race.
Tony McRae trying to track down the 8 of Jeff Bodine. What a story it would be if the young driver from the West Coast could become the first female to win a major stock car race and do it here in South Africa. 5 laps to go.
With her limited amount of experience, I can't get over how well she's done here at this racetrack.
Jeff Bodine down the backstretch in that Chevrolet, the 8 car. First driver to drive a Rick Hendrick machine in the NASCAR Cup Series. Well, the Daytona 500 for Rick Hendrick has had a storied career. I first met him, gosh, back in the 60s when he was a modified star in the Northeast where I'm from. He's raced everything, everywhere. He's been a star for more than 30 years in this sport. Comes over here and may grab the first ever Free State 500 trophy.
Well, he's had a great race car all day with the exception of that little bit of smoke coming out of it. He's still got 5 laps to go, and that doesn't look good. Oh, wouldn't that be terrible to black flag him on the last lap?
I somehow think that will happen. He's been putting down oil smoke for a long time. Tony McRae in the 90 car in second. Here comes John Mickle from the UK. He's had a great day. He's been up front a bunch of times in that car. A lot of oval track experience, as we've talked about here. The RS Cap Chevrolet, he's doing a great job here.
And his car is very fast. The last time through that corner, the 90, I saw the back end of her car kick out. She's driving the car as hard as she can,
Wait a minute.
but it's getting a little bit looser.
Bodine in the 8 car down in the corner. Thought he bobbled a little bit coming off turn 4. He looks like he's off the pace, Scott.
Well, that might be just a... He is dropped down.
Jeff Bodine, who's dominated here today. He's led lots of laps. Could he be out of fuel? Could the motor have given up?
Well, we watched this smoke all day long. His car's still rolling, but he may have lost a cylinder. There could be a lot of things. No, he's definitely off the pace.
Sweeps by in the 90. Here comes John Mickle. Bodine's going to lose the lead. He's going to have to come to pit road. Unbelievable.
And the girl's leading. With only a couple laps to go, she is leading this race.
Bodine slides to a stop in the pit box. Mickle and Tony McRae are side by side. Unbelievable stuff.
Jeff Bodine thought he could make it on fuel. It looked close for a while, but then came down pit road, dead stick. They've got fuel in the car. Now they're trying to get it refired. The victory has gone away from Jeff Bodine after having it in his grasp.
We knew it was going to be close when I figured fuel mileage, and it's kind of a gray area. He was 3 laps from making it. Wow.
And once these things stall from a lack of fuel, not much you can do. Now, white flag's in the air. Here's Mickle. John Mickle to the inside of Tony McRae. This is for the race win here at Phakhisa Freeway.
Tony has not given up. She drove it by him on the outside. Go get it, girl.
Tony McRae and John Mickle door to door. Young woman from California, a veteran driver from Great Britain. Mickle to the inside, takes the lead back in 3. The Free State 500 comes down to these 2 drivers, wildly different backgrounds. Checkered flag is in the air. Let's see what happens off the final corner. John Mickle will be the winner of the inaugural Free State 500 at Phakhisa Freeway in Welkom in South Africa. Tony McRae takes home 2nd spot.
With 3 laps to go, Mickle had no chance. He had to catch the 90 car. Something had to happen to Bodine. There was no way he was going to win this race, and he's going to victory lane.
As we started to say, when these things stall due to a lack of fuel, really hard to push start.
It takes so long for the fuel pump to pick up fuel from the fuel cell, and it's really, really tough.
So Jeff Bodine suffers the agony of defeat here at Phakhisa Freeway. John Mickle collects the win, the Union Jack being brought out to the start-finish stripe. What a great win for John Mickle. There's Bodine. They get the 8 car refired. All he can do is drive it behind the wall. Mickle will do some donuts here on the tri-oval at Phakhisa Freeway. Unbelievable finish to a spectacular event, the inaugural ASA Transcontinental Round, the Free State 500. We'll come back and talk to the winner in victory lane when we return in just a moment. Welcome back to Phakhisa Freeway in Welkom, South Africa. The Free State 500 is in the books. John Mickle, the winner. He's with Todd in victory lane.
After unbuckling, getting a cold drink, John Mickle is going to climb out and celebrate victory one more time and hold on to that checkered flag. John Mickle jumped down here, and after that last caution, you were back in the field, and there were a couple of cars ahead of you that appeared to be faster, appeared to have it, but it came to you.
Yeah, I got all the crew. Talk Speed English team went with the Dick Midgley team. And to be fair, they put an awesome car together. We planned the strategy for what we had to do, put the best tyres on for the end. And you can't fault the RS Cap, Francis King car. I mean, we come from the back and we just done it. And I feel sorry that something had to Mr. Bodine, but hey, never mind, eh?
Hey, wow, it's a great strategy. You played out all the way to the end. And how does it feel to be the first winner of the Free State 500?
I think it's great to be here. I've loved every minute since I've been in South Africa. And thank you to all the fans for coming. It's a pleasure to be driving over in this country, and I can't wait to come back next year.
Congratulations, John Mickle, first ever winner, the Free State 500.
What a great afternoon of racing here. Great week for all of us who were able to come over for the Free State 500. Mickle, the winner. Tony McRae, second. Davis, her dad, Rick McRae, and Johan Spies, the top five.
And I think Gary Lewis still had one of the better race cars, had to make a late pit stop that really took him out of it. Jeff Bodine, got to be heartbroken.
And Danny Correa, who spun early, comes back and gets a top 10 in front of the hometown fans. Gugu Zulu, the Riley driver, what a great outing for him here. Mark Ebert, who had a couple of spins. Sean Richardson, so quick, had problems late, losing it down in turn one. He looked like he had a chance to win this race.
And you really got to give a call to all the local guys that came out here and supported this race. The local racer did a great job.
All right, let's meet the runner-up. A great day for young Tony McRae.
Tony, for someone who had never driven on a mile-and-a-half racetrack before this weekend, you did an outstanding job in this race.
Thank you very much. It was such a fun experience. I learned a lot. You know, I learned about the air at the beginning, what makes you tight, what makes you loose, and I paid attention to that to where it would help me in the end. So we definitely had a car to beat. I mean, if our motor wouldn't have laid down, I guarantee you we would have won it.
Guess you're ready to come back again next year?
Absolutely. Yeah, we definitely need to come back. I had a great time. All the people here in South Africa have been wonderful. ASA has done a tremendous job. My guys, Billy Hess, Blake, and all the other guys that put this together for me, unbelievable. And I can't thank my mom and dad enough for giving me this opportunity.
Special to race against your dad as well, especially when you were nose to tail.
That was probably the most special thing about this event is I did get to race with my dad and side by side a couple times, which was really fun. I told him I wasn't going to let him beat me though. So it was fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Terrific to see Tony McRae have such a great shot at victory here. There's the trophy that John Mickle will collect for winning the inaugural ASA Transcontinental Free State 500 here at Welkom in South Africa. Well, Mark Davis started on the front row. Looked like he had a car to win. He ends up third. He's with Todd.
Mark Davis, this was a special race for you in memory of your dad, the race dedicated to him, and you were obviously driving with him on mind.
Yeah, this is huge. I mean, I wanted this more than anything. I mean, this is probably one of the most important races of my career, and I don't want to get emotional right now again for like the 5th time in the matter of an hour or so, but I can't explain how much I wanted this race. And I drove so hard, and it just came up short, and I don't think I've ever driven that hard in my life. I mean, I want to see the tape of it because I know there's stuff, and I don't know what else I could have done. I mean, these guys worked hard on these cars, and I want to congratulate everybody that finished in front of us and Tony and all them. It's tough. It's real tough.
You did a great job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mark Davis has got a great future, I think, in this business. What a great weekend. Huh?
And he was a lap down and came back.
Yeah,
Great drive.
The case. Wild action all over the place. Phakhisa Freeway, the scene, a mile-and-a-half super speedway. First ever stock car race. Big cars here in this great country. First ever race at this track, first race for the ASA Transcontinental Series, and we were thrilled to be a part of it for you. Go to ASARacing.com, find out more about the American Speed Association. Todd Lewis did a wonderful job for us all week, especially today on Pit Road. I want to thank my buddy Scott Sutherland for joining me topside. For our entire crew and for the ASA Transcontinental Series, I'm Rick Benjamin, congratulating our winner, John Mickle, in the Free State 500. We'll talk to you next time.